Today, we are talking with Karen Reinhardt. She is the U.S. head of HR at ASML. Karen, can you just take a moment and tell us a little bit more about what you do and what ASML does?
Sure. Thank you, David. Thank you for having me today. I am the U.S. head of HR for ASML. ASML is a global company, a multi-billion dollar company. We manufacture lithography systems, which are big machines that are used in the production of silicon wafers or microchips. We have offices on three continents. We are in Europe, we are in Asia, and we're in the US. And our factories specialize in different areas, and it really takes all of the company to produce these microchips. We have a very diverse employee base. We're in about 60 different locations. And in the US, we have five major locations. I'm based in San Diego, California. We're also in San Jose. Wilton, Connecticut on the East Coast is another manufacturing plant. And then Hillsboro, Oregon, and Chandler, Arizona. And then we also have a few smaller sites where our customers are throughout the US.
Okay. Hey, great. Thank you for all that. Now, we are talking to a lot of different companies and asking them questions about the challenges when it comes to hiring technical and IT people. You guys are clearly in that space, creating the very basic components so we can actually have all of the electronics. Um, your hiring strategy has changed coming out of the pandemic. Can you speak to that a little bit and tell me how ASML has adapted to it?
Yeah, sure, David. It's been really an incredible past couple of the years. The pandemic has really changed the way we've had to think about attraction and retention. With the pandemic, there's been much more focus on digitization. There's been much more demand for microchips, hence a shortage in the chip supply. So that, when you think about your cell phone, almost everything we use today requires a microchip. And, when you go to buy a car, I'm hearing, there's a shortage there. And it's an interesting story. Even I recently ordered some automated blinds, motorized blinds, and I was told my hub that controls when they go up and down is on back order because of the chip shortage. So there really is a demand for these chips, and the supply of people is really gone down. It's just a war for talent out there. And so we've had to really think differently and be creative into how we attract talent. So some of those strategies I can go into. For example, the time it takes to hire someone can, sometimes take a really long time. And I think the emphasis in prior years, because there was so much supply and it was really a market for employers, we would spend a lot of time on interviews and really making it a thorough process. And so now we've had to think about how can we be more agile to compete for talent. And some of those ways, I can give you a few examples. When I was hired, for example, 2.5 years ago, I had to go through, I think it was 18 interviews. And
Ouch.
I know, and even, our engineers would be 10 to 12 interviews. And, although it's a very comprehensive process, we can do it much faster. So we went through a Kaizen lean process to identify how we could condense that through, we call it a 2 by 2 by 2. It's a panel interview of two individuals 3 times, so 3 panels. And some of them focus on the what, and some of them focus on the how. So the content of the capabilities and competencies, and then also on the behaviors. So that's one of the ways that we've really seen that we've been able to be more nimble with our speed to market and cutting down the time to hire.
That's great. The a very common theme I hear these days is companies are trying to hire people. They're taking 4 or 5 days in between each step, and before you know it, it's a 3 or 4 week process. And when they're ready to make an offer to a very well qualified person, the individual's gone. And you wasted all that time. And to say, hey, we still remain thorough in what we're doing, but we're bringing on the people faster. Great job to you there. So, yes. Any
Yeah,
other comments on that? Or
sure. I mean, I can share with you a few other strategies we've employed that has also sped up the process. And this was really prompted by the pandemic. As an example, the courts were closed for a while where we weren't even able to do background checks. And we had to hire people contingent on it clearing after they started. So we've really looked at some of those efficiencies in, for example, if someone came from another country or worked in multiple states, it could take a really long time to do those education checks and the employment checks. And so we really streamlined our approach to doing that, and that has definitely helped in the process. What's interesting too, and I think this was an outcome of the pandemic, but I think we're going to continue to do things this way, is using a tool called HireVue, where candidates actually record their answers to questions. It's like a virtual interview, similar to what you and I are doing right now.
Mhm.
And it gets stored, and hiring managers can look through all of these interviews. Whereas in the past, we used to fly people in and go through the whole process, and it just took so much longer. And so being able to have the recorded interviews as the first step before going further has really also streamlined the process.
Okay. Anything we companies can do to make it this a more efficient process so you don't lose people, it's good for the companies. Uh, Kind of related to all this, the great resignation, the great reassessment going on right now. What are some things you guys are doing to make people stay?
Yeah. So, what's really important, I think, and this is true on the attraction and the retention side, is to really understand what's important to employees and what's important to candidates. The last couple of years has been this experiment with working from home, for example, and having more flexibility. And we understand that employees, even though we're going to be returning to work, it's going to look much different. Employees have gotten used to that flexibility of working from home. And so we are adapting, we're listening to what employees want and what we're hearing from candidates, and moving towards more of a hybrid workplace here at ASML. So it will be a combination of time in the office and also having that flexibility to work remotely or work from home. And we do believe that having that face-to-face contact in the office is very important for collaboration and getting things done as a team. And so we really encourage that. It's all also aligned with our values. We have three values: challenge, collaborate, and care. And they really direct and guide everything that we do. So, from a care perspective, we really care about what our employees are thinking, want to work with them in terms of what's important to them. Flexible workplace was one example, career paths is another example, challenging work. Having a spirit of camaraderie, having fun events at work, focusing on well-being, and so these are some of the things that we're really looking at and trying to provide more to our employees who are here, as well as candidates from an attraction perspective. We recently had to adapt a little bit too with the pandemic in how we're bringing people in. So, for example, we've developed an engineering development program, which is a cohort based. They're really engaging with the business to work to understand how to work together, really partnering with current employees and building on those relationships with the hires, because they get hired in groups, 30 at a time. So that follows through their journey of 2 to 3 years of being at ASML. And so really from an engagement perspective, we're finding that that's really working well.
That's great. Yeah, lots of good things going on there. So, who would you like to have reach out to ASML, whether from other companies looking to partner with you or candidates looking for jobs? Your moment here to say, "Hey, come find us."
So we are hiring in all areas of the spectrum, primarily in manufacturing, in engineering, in customer service, research and development. So as well as our functions, HR, finance, and so on. So we can't hire fast enough with this demand. We are growing. I think we are expecting to grow 15% this year. We're over 30,000 employees at ASML. So much opportunity. So really encourage folks to apply and reach out, especially specific competencies in optics, software engineering, data science, engineering, electrical, mechanical. We've got so many tremendous opportunities here at ASML, and it is a great place to work. We were recently recognized by Newsweek as a most valued company or a most loved company. And again, that goes back to our values of care. We care about our employees. We want them to be successful and happy and healthy and challenged.
That's great. Well, you'll probably get a few more people applying. So, yeah, it looks like you have needs all over the board. So, that's a good thing. So, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it and have a good day.
Okay, thank you, David. You too.